The great Joan Didion passed away this week at the age of 87. She was an extraordinary and prolific talent, one who mastered all kinds of writing mediums throughout the decades: journalism, essays, plays, novels. Her first book, Run River, was published back in 1963, and her latest book, Let Me Tell You What I Mean, was published earlier this year. Her 2005 memoir, The Year of Magical Thinking, about the sudden death of her husband, John Gregory Dunn, and the illness of their daughter, Quintana, won the National Book Award for Nonfiction and was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. She received the National Book Foundation's Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters, along with the National Medal of Arts presented by President Barack Obama. Didion's writing is outstanding, but as we reflect on her life in the arts, I wanted to make a video that highlights her important career as a screenwriter, which started in 1971 with The Panic in Needle Park, starring Al Pacino and Kitty Wynn, continued into 1976 with A Star is Born, starring Barbra Streisand and Kris Kristofferson, and more or less ended in 1996 with Up Close and Personal, starring Robert Redford and Michelle Pfeiffer. Collaborating on the scripts with her husband John, she always gave a sense of authenticity to her work, and proved that adaptation can be a worthwhile process, especially when you want to bring your own novel to the screen. Joan Didion was born on December 5, 1934, in Sacramento, California, and she recalled writing things down as early as age 5.
I taught myself how to type. I'm not a touch typist. I just still do it this way. But I taught myself how to type by typing sentences, typing out Hemingway sentences over and over again.
She graduated from the University of California, Berkeley with a bachelor's degree in English and worked for Vogue magazine for 7 years, where she went from being a promotional copywriter to the associate features editor. After marrying writer and friend John Gregory Dunn in 1964, the two began collaborating on many writing projects, starting with newsstand magazine assignments. The first screenplay they worked on together was The Panic in Needle Park, based on the 1966 novel by James Mills. The film tells of heroin addicts, including Al Pacino's Bobby and Kitty Wynn's Helen, whose lives slowly spiral out of control.
I want you to score for me.
You're not just asking me to score for you, you're asking something else.
What am I asking?
You're asking how much I'll do for you.
When Didion and Dunn finished their screenplay, they submitted it to various studios, where it eventually ended up at 20th Century Fox. Didion and Dunn visited Jim Morrison during the recording of the album Waiting for the Sun, as he was being considered for the role of Bobby. But ultimately it was Pacino who got the part, which thankfully he did. It was this movie Francis Ford Coppola showed to Paramount executives to convince them Pacino had what it took to play Michael Corleone in The Godfather. Didion credits the industry recognition she received from The Panic in Needle Park as opening the door into Hollywood for her and John, both of them having 2 more produced screenplays soon thereafter. The next screenplay the two collaborated on was Play It As It Lays from 1972, starring Tuesday Weld and Anthony Perkins, based on Didion's 1970 novel of the same name. This is the only time Didion adapted her own novel into a screenplay, the story of an actress who has an emotional breakdown. Play It As It Lays did reasonably well with critics, Roger Ebert giving the film 4 stars, and Weld earning a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama. Didion wanted Sam Peckinpah to direct, but he declined, and Frank Perry, who had made the acclaimed drama Diary of a Mad Housewife and would go on to direct the 1981 camp classic Mommy Dearest, came on instead.
Look at me all duded up. Why aren't you in bed at 9 o'clock?
Why not?
The third produced film Didion and Dunn wrote the screenplay for is arguably their most famous, the 1976 version of A Star is Born. The 2 earlier versions, from 1937 and 1954, had shown the behind-the-scenes world of Hollywood filmmaking, but Didion and Dunn for this one moved the story over to the music industry, which Bradley Cooper would maintain in the 2018 installment.
Warner Brothers picked this up right away because they had a lot of music, so they got the idea. I mean, they had Warner Brothers music, and so it was very easy to set up a contract, and Warner Brothers set up so we could do the research. I mean, we went out on tour with bands that summer.
Didion and Dunn spent 3 months touring with Led Zeppelin, Uriah Heep, and Jethro Tull to get a feel for the rock star lifestyle. The 1976 film received mixed reviews at the time, but it would be the biggest hit of Didion's screenwriting career, earning $80 million, enough to become the second highest grossing movie of the year. It was also the most awarded, too, receiving 4 Oscar nominations and winning Best Original Song. Up next was another adaptation, this one of John Gregory Dunn's 1977 novel, True Confessions. Released in 1981 and starring acting heavyweights Robert De Niro and Robert Duvall, the film tells of 2 brothers, one a Catholic priest and the other a homicide detective, who are drawn back together in the aftermath of a brutal murder. At one point, Paul Schrader was set to revise the screenplay and direct, but it was Didion who did the necessary rewrites on the script before the film went into production. True Confessions was no giant hit at the box office, but like with many of her other films, it did fairly well with critics, and it's achieved a cult status in the many years since its release.
There's never been a Pope Thomas. Thomas the First.
Thomas the First, I like that. It's nice and calm.
Constant reminder to me that the flesh is weak.
Didion's final produced screenplay came much later in 1996, the romance drama Up Close and Personal. This was definitely the most fraught screenwriting assignment ever for Didion and her husband John. The script beginning as an adaptation of Golden Girl, the story of Jessica Savage, a 1988 nonfiction book that told of Savage's drama-filled life as a TV news anchor.
And you can work together and you can work apart.
Yes, well, the only thing we work together on is screenplays,
I know.
which isn't no ego, you know.
Yeah. No ego because
there are always going to be 100 other people
that's right.
involved.
That's right. Somebody else will come in to write their own.
Yeah.
The finished movie was altered immensely from Didion and Dunn's original vision to appease the Walt Disney Company and offer broader appeal to the mainstream market. Savage's drug abuse problems, and the suicide of her second husband, and the automobile death of Savage herself omitted from the final version of the script. After collaborating on the screenplay for 8 years, only to see the movie not be what they wanted, Dunn wrote a book about the experience titled Monster: Living Off the Big Screen, in which he tells of a moment he asked producer Scott Rudin what he wanted the film to be, and Rudin responded, "It's about 2 movie stars." Despite Didion and Dunn's hardships of crafting this particular screenplay, the film was a mild success, did just fine with critics, and earned an Oscar nomination, like the 1976 A Star is Born, for Best Original Song. Didion would work again on a motion picture script, teaming up with Little Children director Todd Field in 2012 on a political thriller called As It Happens, a film that sadly was never to be.
Do you wish you'd written more movies?
No, not particularly.
Do you like the movies?
Yeah, I do like the movies.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Belle de Jour.
It is?
Belle de
Belle de
Jour.
Jour?
Chinatown.
But even though her screenwriting credits only amount to 5, her stamp on the film industry should absolutely be mentioned in the same breath as all the accolades she has received for her fiction, essays, and memoirs. Joan Didion was a remarkable artist, a gifted wordsmith, a true visionary, and a fantastic screenwriter, a woman whose work we will continue to treasure for many decades to come. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments below which of Didion's works you love best. Is there a film she wrote you think more people need to watch? See you next time.